right now. We're going to get some reaction from the ranks of the Democratic Alliance spokesperson, Karabo Khakhau, who also is a member of that particular portfolio committee on higher education and training. She joins us now. Karabo, good evening to you. Thank you very much for your time. Your reaction to this latest decision. The minister, or should we say former minister, was meant to appear before the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee tomorrow. A surprise for you? All right. It does appear Karabo's picture is frozen. Karabo, I'm not sure if you're able to, or if you were able to get my question. Let me simply put it to you this way. Are you surprised by this move?
Look, it was about time. It had been a very long time since the people of this country had been asking to President Ramaphosa for Minister Ngabane to be fired. And we are happy that this has happened. But this is not a DA victory. It's not a Karabo Khakhau victory. It is a victory for the people of the Republic of South Africa who depend on a clean government, who depend on ministers who are free from corruptions, who are detoxed from the effect of lying perpetually to cover messes that they create at the expense of the people's coffers and ultimately the dreams of the people of this country. When the Democratic Alliance campaigned in 2024 to come back to Parliament, we asked the people of South Africa to give us an opportunity to fight against corruption. And this is what has been delivered here. We promised the people of South Africa that ours is to rescue South Africa. Rescuing South Africa means fighting as hard as we can to root out corruption amongst the ranks of the ANC within cabinet. Nobuhle Ngabane is not the caliber of a minister that the people of this country ever deserved to have. She has lied to Parliament, effectively committing fraud and a statutory offence under Section 27 of the Powers, Privileges and Immunities of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act 4 of 2004. And that's why, beyond our call to the president to fire her, we've opened a case that is now being investigated by the Hawks, which too must come to a closing chapter. We have a precedent of Tony Yengeni. She must follow the same line. It cannot be that in democratic South Africa in 2025, people think they can come to Parliament, earn salaries that are paid for by the monies of the people of South Africa via tax, and be audacious enough to come to Parliament and lie, not only about the work that they're doing there, but the impact that it has. Yeah. SETAs play an important role in uplifting and upskilling young people in this country, many of whom are sitting at home, hopeless, unable to put food on the table for themselves and their families. And the DA's fight here was directly linked at making sure that we detox SETAs from cadre deployment, we detox them from patronage. We detox them for them being a cash cow for cadres to enjoy, while young people are still left unskilled in our streets, are still left with locked out of opportunities for jobs. Yeah. So we're saying as the Democratic Alliance here, this is a victory for the people of South Africa. Thank you, South Africa, for the mandate that you've given the DA to fight here, and we'll continue to do more.
She's no longer minister. Does that mean that she escapes the parliamentary accounting processes?
That shouldn't be, because we're yet to understand whether she's still a member of Parliament or not. Obviously, the ethics process thereof does not escape the fact that that process must still be followed and concluded. But also, just because she's no longer a member of Parliament, it doesn't mean that Parliament ceases to do its job to make sure that it holds every South African accountable for how they've spent public money. So she may have spent it until a few minutes ago, but it doesn't mean that moving forward, we're not interested in getting to the bottom of it and making sure that she pays for the part that she has played so far.
She's not the only minister that you have openly said that you are against, and as a result, you were not going to pass the budget for higher education and training. Where does that leave the Democratic Alliance now? Will you pass the budget around higher education and training?
Will you
support it, rather?
Yes, so the party leadership is yet to take a decision right now on the steer there on what we are doing. Once the leadership has decided what the next tune is going to be, we'll be able to communicate that.
And I mentioned that she's not the only minister that you were concerned about or concerned with. Where does that leave the Human Settlements Minister, whose budget you did not support? And where does that leave Senzo Mchunu?
The posture remains. This wasn't a solely a Nkabane fight. It is a Thembisi Melane fight equally too. We made it clear that we don't want compromised ministers. And that's why in what my sentiments earlier, what I've said is we will continue to fight harder to make sure that we detox cabinet of corrupt and compromised ministers. So just because Nkabane is gone, it doesn't mean the fight is over. We still want to see Melane gone. We still want to make sure that the likes of Senzo Mchunu get to account for their part that they've played in compromising the integrity of not only cabinet, but also the security of this country, but also making sure that we're able to bring hope to the people of South Africa. The level of distrust that rests amongst our people as far as the role that parliament and government is supposed to play in giving them service delivery, but in spending their money wisely, is too low for us to stop right now. We need to be able to get South Africa back to a place where hope is the order of the day, where people trust their government to deliver on their services, where people trust their government to spend their money wisely, where people trust their government to take decisions that are in their best interests. And until we get there, we are not done fighting.
Yeah. I'm trying to get the clear position of the DA around Senzo Mchunu. So you went and opened a case against him. Would you like him to go immediately, or you still want him subjected to the Commission of Inquiry, whose start is imminent, if we could put it that way?
So it is important to make sure that we have an investigation process that is thorough to get to understand the veracity of the allegations laid against him. You would have noted that in Nkabane's case, that we called for her firing immediately after we have exhausted the means internally to get our proof in the pudding of what exactly her involvement was. We can confidently say today that Nobuhle Nkabane misled Parliament, that she lied, that she committed fraud and a statutory offence, because we have done the investigative work there in Parliament and in committee to do so. That must also still be able to follow course for all other ministers. But the bottom line is that, as the Democratic Alliance, is that we will not sit back and watch this beautiful Republic of South Africa that we have today because of blood that was shed to get us to the point that we are right now. We will not rest until that blood rests in peace, until the graves of our forefathers are able to smile and look back on this country and see the sun rise and shine better onto South Africa, because there would have been hope, because the deaths of the forefathers of democracy would have meant something, that we would have a Republic of South Africa where public servants are exactly that, where they're not liars, where they do not manipulate the people of South Africa, where they deliver services, where the decisions that they take consider what matters most for the people of this country, and where they uphold the Constitution of the Republic, its laws, and they conduct themselves with the necessary dignity that the people of this country need.
Some may be wondering tonight whether President Ramaphosa has gone some distance in appeasing the Democratic Alliance, given his firing of the Deputy Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, Andrew Whitfield. Has this appeased the DA?
No, that's not an appeasal, because look, the DA's position remains the same. It hasn't moved. You firing one of our own doesn't mean we're going to now rest and be grateful that at least you fired yours. The bottom line is cabinet still has a lot of compromised people, i.e. Thembisi Melane, who we still also want to see her fired for her involvement in the VBS scandal. We still want to be able to see the Palabora ruling given effect to Chaveni. We still want to be able to make sure that when the people of this country look at the cabinet, they don't pick between the DA's cleanliness and the ANC's messiness in integrity and profiles, that they have a clean government altogether. So for as long as we still have compromised ministers in cabinet, i.e. Thembisi Melane, we will never be happy.
The question around the two new ministers, or let me say the new Minister of Higher Education and his deputy. Your thoughts around their two characters? Are these people that you're comfortable with?
So look, the bottom line is that Buti Manamela has been there for a very long time within the sector. This is somebody who has operated in the sector for a while. But we're yet to see whether his operation in the sector means he's clean. We know how the ANC operates. We're yet to see whether he can be a better leader than Nobuhle Ngabane, whether he is allergic to lying and not pro-lying as Nobuhle was. But ultimately, we want to see a better sector. Young people across institutions of higher learning, whether university and TVET colleges, deserve a NSFAS that's going to pay for their allowances in time. They deserve a student accommodation system that works for them, where they can have good quality education, where they are safe, where they can study with freedom of opportunities to succeed altogether. Equally, we want to be able to see a SETA space that is detoxed of cadre deployment and corruption there, where the skilling of young people outside of formal institutions of higher learning is able to be maximized. We want to be able to make sure that we transform the sector altogether for it to have meaning, to add meaning to what education for this country, as far as tertiary education is concerned, is supposed to be. Yeah. We also want to see the CET sector, being the community education and training institutions within our country, being prioritized, and also the infrastructure thereof giving hope and meaning to young people who have been locked out of the system. So this is what we will be testing Buti Manamela against, whether or not higher education becomes the pride and joy of this country, or whether he plunges it deeper into a bigger mess than it is right now. That's when we will be able to tell you whether he's good for the job or not. Until he proves himself, we're yet to see.
Quick throwaway question before I let you go. Buti Manamela's deputy is Dr. Nomusa Dube Ncube, and she was mentioned among those who would be chairing the SETA boards, the now controversial SETA board chairpersons. Might you be tempted to ask her who offered her the job in the first place?
That is certainly a question to ask. We want to know this, and we want to know now. But also it brings in another question here, Abdikali, which is very important, that has the ANC looked at itself and transformed itself? Not only was Nobuhle not only is Meng Ncube a former premier, but there was an attempt to recycle her into the system via the SETAs. That didn't work. Now we are back channeling her as a deputy minister. Is the ANC that enable to find somebody outside of the already existing pool of rejected politicians within their ranks or not? And the fact that they have her there makes the answer to plausibly be yes, that they don't have a healthy pool altogether. And that's why this is a moment for the people of South Africa to look outside of the ANC for confidence, to look to parties like the Democratic Alliance that continuously show that when we are given an opportunity to fight for the people of this country, that we do so earnestly, like we did here with the fight with Nkabane, that we, together with the people of South Africa, will continuously fight for what is right, to fight against corruption, to make sure that we do not recycle failed leaders to now and expect them to reinvent a system that they have previously shown us to be incapable of leading and correcting.
Karabo, Khakhau, thank you very much for your time. A Democratic Alliance national spokesperson, but also a member of parliament specifically serving in that portfolio committee of higher education.